Hey everyone, my name is Danny Dumas, and this is the Earn Your Title podcast. Today, I might be a little preachy, and so I don't want to feel like I'm preaching at you, but I do want, because it's not, I'm actually talking to myself. And if I ever have a episode where maybe I'm coming down on you, it's me. It's something I've been thinking about, something that I think is important. And I'm going to talk about self-discipline, which is a great topic, something that I'm highly interested in. And I am guessing that if you're listening to this podcast, you are someone who is trying to better yourself. You're trying to be a better husband, a better father, a better leader, and you're here doing that. And I'm going to give you a little quiz, and if you get 2 or 3 of these right, you'll know that you are someone who is into improving yourself, increasing your self-discipline, and just becoming a better man. So I'm going to say a name or a saying, and then in your head, you say the following thing. So if I said extreme ownership, you say Jocko. You've read that book. If I said you can't hurt me, you say David Goggins, or maybe you said, who's going to carry the boats? I say, if I ask you what your love language is, you know the answer to that question. It's physical touch, it's gifts, things like that. If I said Stephen Covey, you say 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. If you're getting those answers correctly, you are pursuing knowledge. And it's interesting because I've kind of grown up with this, but I think as a younger man, I was given the opportunity to realize that I could make a difference in my life based on knowledge that I could acquire from somebody else. And that's important because if you're in this world of trying to improve yourself and kind of constantly growing, realize that not everybody is there. Not everybody gets an opportunity to see that the world is changing. There are a lot of people in this world who have a fixed mindset, and they didn't get an opportunity to see that they could change. I remember one of my first lessons that I could improve, that life could be better based on input from other people, that I could go out and acquire knowledge and bring it back into a skill, and it was playing basketball. When I was in middle school, I was probably a 60 or 70% free throw shooter. I was okay. I'm making 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. And that's a skill that I developed through practice. My coach giving me some advice on, how to set up your free throw, having a ritual. And by the time I graduated high school, by the time I was a senior, I was in that 85, maybe 87% free throw shooter. I increased dramatically. Now, I wasn't, perfect. I had one buddy, I don't think he missed, in the entire season, I think he missed 2 free throws. He was awesome. And I didn't quite get there, but I was improving. And that was a great lesson that showed me that I had the ability to change, and not everybody has that ability. And this is the preachy part. It's very easy to get into this world and see improvement in your life and see how awesome it is to actually have that improvement, and then to be surrounded by people who are not on the same course, on the same track as you. And that can be very challenging. But I want you to remember this. It's called self-discipline, not them discipline or their discipline. This is you. And this is you. And this is very important because there's been some very high-level, motivated, strong people. When you think of like greats in sports, you've got Kobe Bryant, you've got Michael Jordan. They pushed their teams extremely hard. They set extremely high standards, and sometimes that failed their team. When you think of like Shaq and Kobe, it pushed Shaquille O'Neal away, and that might have cost Kobe Bryant more championships, more rings, because he was pushing so hard, and not everybody wanted to do that, was capable of doing that, and maybe not even really benefited them, but they just pushed. And as someone who is wanting to be self-disciplined, and someone who is wanting to improve my life, and realizing that I'll never get to improvement, that I'm always striving for improvement, I'm letting you know that it's okay to have people in your life who are not on the same journey as you. Now, maybe this is, you've become financially self-disciplined, and you've got a budget, and you've got money in the bank, and your parents are not there, and they have not saved anything in retirement, and you could feel extremely frustrated by that, and you want to force Dave Ramsey down their throat. What are you doing? I'm letting you know that probably will never work. It will never work. And what you're What does work is showing them the benefits of a self-disciplined life. Maybe this is a brother or sister, who is just going the wrong direction. And it's so easy to be frustrated. Like, hey, we grew up the same way. Why are you making these decisions? Maybe it's they've got a substance abuse problem. Why did you go down that road when I didn't? All you have to, this is what we do. You read this book, listen to this podcast, and you'll be fine. And you get pushy. That doesn't work. But what does work is showing them what a life looks like, not addicted to substances, not an alcoholic, showing them what health looks like, constantly encouraging them. This could be, your wife is not on the same journey as you, and you want to, listen to a podcast on every trip, and you got this great book you want, and she's not there. She would rather, watch a new series on Netflix. That is okay. It's a very hard thing to wrap your mind around, but it's self-discipline. It's not others' discipline. The other thing to realize is that sometimes the things that we see as being, I'm very disciplined in this area, is not actually discipline. It's just that you're not tempted by the things that other people are. For instance, I knew someone who was a vegetarian. Now, if I decided to be a vegetarian, it would require a huge amount of self-discipline because I am a carnivore at heart. You put a juicy steak in front of me that's cooked perfectly or pieces of bacon, and you say, you're not going to have that anymore, and this is a healthier lifestyle. No, philosophically, I wouldn't agree with that, but a lot of people do. Eating more vegetables is beneficial. But I know someone who was a vegetarian and had, I would say, zero self-discipline because they were a vegetarian because they didn't like meat. They were not a carnivore at heart. And this is the difference between self-discipline and just not being tempted by something, is that it was very easy for them to not eat meat because they didn't like meat. And the danger for them is that I think maybe they saw this as being self-discipline, but the self-discipline for that person would have been to eat lots of vegetables, which is also not what they did. They spent their life just avoiding meat, eating carbs, chips, non-meat substances, and they weren't healthy. Like a truly self-disciplined vegetarian says, I realize that my protein intake is going to be challenging. It's going to be challenging to get the amount of protein I need to be healthy. So I'm going to supplement. I'm going to increase this certain food so that I am meeting my macronutrients and so that I'm going to be a healthy person. That person is self-discipline. For me, it takes zero self-discipline to not smoke cigarettes. I have zero desire. When I go to the grocery store or I go to the gas station and there's that whole rack of cigarettes behind the attendant, I have zero temptation. It requires no self-discipline for me to do that. And sometimes when there's something in your life and other people are doing it, like some people spend a lot or some people don't spend. Well, it's not because they're self-disciplined. It's because they're maybe a little bit miserly. Maybe they're greedy is not the right word, but they just don't spend money because they like to have the money and there's no temptation. They're never going to go buy something really nice because they're not tempted by a Rolex. Where the person who is tempted but holds that back, that's what self-discipline is. And I think we need to realize that everybody's on a different journey and some things affect you more than others. For instance, my diet, from a fitness side, I'm pretty self-disciplined in working out. I work out 3 days a week, pretty consistently every week. And I believe that is self-discipline because I do enjoy the feeling of after working out, but I don't love working out. I'm not addicted to going to the gym. I do it for a purpose. And and for me, it is easier to sit on the couch and not work out. So I believe there's some self-discipline there. But for me, to like in the dietary side, I lack some self-discipline in eating sweets. Now, chips and things like that, it's not a huge temptation for me, but if I am going to be healthy, and I haven't quite acquired that yet, I realize I'm probably addicted to sugar. And that's the one thing that I've yet to even want to fix because I like it that much. I'm lacking in that. And someone else could be totally different. They could care less about sweets. It's not a big deal. And they say, I'm self-disciplined. I just don't eat dessert. Well, you're not self-disciplined. You just don't like it. I don't want you to compare yourself to other people. I think that's the point I'm making. And I don't want you to look down on your spouse, your brother, your sister, your wife, the people in your life who aren't in the same place as you. This is a journey. It's taking one step towards the next, and you are acquiring things that can truly be amazing. Now, if you're listening to me, one, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And you're on this road, I want to let you know that it is possible to change your life based on the information that you acquire, based on the coaching that you get from mentors, people around you, and you can change. Maybe you've had zero discipline for your entire life, and you're just like, man, my life is chaos. And a self-disciplined life is better than an undisciplined life. There's the discipline is freedom. Another quote from, Jocko and the Extreme Ownership books, discipline is freedom is true. Putting yourself inside of restraints is true freedom. You find like a 3-year-old who's got no rules, the kid's not happy. He might get momentary satisfaction out of getting something he wants right away, but truly having discipline to say no or not yet, or that there's some power there. And so you can change. Some of the books I would recommend, and when I say books, I don't know how to say it anymore. I listen to most of my books. I'll listen to 12 books a year, maybe 15, 16 books a year. I'll read maybe 5 or 6. I don't know the difference of how to say it. I listen to a book. That sounds weird, but acquiring knowledge through a book is going to be very important. And I kind of have a list of things that you could listen to or read, however you want to consume your knowledge. But Atomic Habits is a great one, and that gets you in the habit of making habits. Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The 5 Love Languages. Totally Money Makeover, that's a money book. And then Starting Strength is a fitness book. You get those 5 or 6 books in, and you take that knowledge to heart. That will get you on the journey of great self-discipline, great self-help, self-improvement. And I think it's a good thing. But if you're just starting, that's a great place to start. If you're already on it, and you probably are because you're listening to a podcast about improving yourself, give some people some grace. Like, don't judge other people. Don't get frustrated by it. Show them the benefits of living the life that you are, and you'll come along. Now, when I think about my kids, I do have a responsibility, I think, to kind of help them along, and I want them to be successful. But you do not own your kids. You're giving them for a brief period of time, 18, 19, 20 years, where they're going to be in your home and you can influence them. And the best analogy I can have is set a good table. Put all the healthy things in their life, and then they're going to decide what to eat. And realize that the lessons that you teach them now, they might not learn them for 5 or 10 years. They might have to go do something really stupid with their money or their life or their social network, and then they look back and go, oh man, mom and dad were right. But set a good table, set a healthy table, figuratively and literally, and it'll be okay. I'm glad you're on this journey with me. I really appreciate it. If you want some help reconnecting with your family, I am setting up a beta program where I'm going to do some one-on-one coaching and maybe some group coaching. And I'm looking for guys that just want to help reconnecting with their family. This is going to take 2 weeks. You can have daily action items, one-on-one coaching with me. So if that's something that's interesting to you, there's a link at the end of in my show notes, at the end of the show notes. Click on that. Real simple form, name, email, some of the issues you're working with, and I would love to connect with you. I really appreciate it. I'd love to talk to you. So this has been the Earn Your Title podcast. My name is Danny Dumas, and I will talk to you later. Bye.